Teresa Lewis, she is or was the first woman in Virginia in nearly a decade, or not a decade, a century, to get executed.
Yeah.
And she was executed through lethal injection. And the reason why she was executed is because she was found guilty of hiring 2 hitmen to kill her husband and stepson.
For the insurance money.
For the insurance money. Her stepson had a $250,000 life insurance policy.
Which he took out when he joined the military.
Yes. And in order for her to receive that money, her stepson needed to die and her husband needed to die.
Right.
So the reason why this case is so big is A, because she's a woman, and also B, there were reports from experts indicating that she was borderline mentally disabled.
That's not really in dispute.
Well, it's in a little bit of dispute. So let me tell you the facts behind it. Her IQ was apparently a 72. So
Right, that's what I mean. That's
Right.
not in
So
dispute.
that's-
Her IQ
right.
is 72.
Right, it is. And as far as the woman angle, she's only among the woman angle.
Yeah.
Among the 11.
That's not in dispute either.
That's not either. And so as far as I know, unless there's something really fishy going on. She's among 11 women executed since 1976 when the United States Supreme Court reinstated capital punishment. There's been 1,200 people executed, but only 11 women. Now, Anna saw her in an interview. And,
Yes.
And you think she sounded perfectly sane?
She was,
I mean,
she's
not sane, but competent.
You know, when someone is saying that an individual is borderline mentally retarded, and that's what the experts were saying, you think, okay, well, you're going to hear it in their speech. They're going to sound a little different, a little off. She was almost, you can describe her as eloquent in her interview with CNN. Like, you could hear her thinking. I mean, she was extremely remorseful for what she did. She acknowledged what she did. She talked about how she's found God and she's been praying in church, and she sings songs of prayer to all of the female inmates.
Well, I want to build off that because another part of the story was that she became kind of a leader in jail in leading prayer and the songs, etc. And so people were making both arguments that, oh my God, she's nearly mentally incapacitated, but at the same time she's this wonderful leader in jail.
Look, we'll get to the crux of the moral argument in a sec, but I think you're sounding fairly ignorant. Like, she's not an IQ of 70. First of all, there's a giant range, and if you're borderline mentally deficient, you don't sound like this.
No, I know that. I know that. But
so I mean, and plenty of people who have a IQ above 70, they can live on their own, but they have an IQ above 70, and they're going to have a tough time through life.
No, but that's our point.
Here's my argument, okay? Here's what I have to say about that, okay? I'm not a doctor, okay?
And by the way, they could lead a group of hymn singers.
Okay,
I'm not a doctor, but her whole defense was that she is not able to think for herself, okay?
Yeah,
she is not.
That's not quite her defense.
That was her defense.
Her defense was she was incredibly easily manipulated. Not that she couldn't think by herself.
So she couldn't think for herself. She was
That's
easily
a distinction
manipulated by
between
individuals.
easily manipulated.
I'm not buying any of this. Her defense is, I'm a little dumb. Okay, whatever, right? Now, let's get to the crux of what actually happened,
Suppose her IQ had been 69 if she dropped below the number.
69, 72. The proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding, and it's IQ is some number. It's made up. It's a test that you took. It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't mean you're a genius if you do well. It doesn't mean you know.
No, but 70 is a rough go.
Theoretically, but what did she do? What did she do?
Yes,
right.
Let's get to that.
So she recruited 2 guys. How did she recruit them? She slept with both of them, promised them a part of the proceeds. One of the guys she slept with, and then let him sleep with her 16-year-old daughter in order to seduce him into this. And this is all, like, this is what she was convicted on, so it's proven. Now, I'm against the death penalty because, you know, we've executed too many people that we thought it was proven it was them. So I'm not saying with 100% certainty she did it. That's why I'm against the death penalty. But if you believe what the court concluded and what the jury concluded, that woman is not mentally incapacitated. She's plenty smart enough to figure out this whole scheme, and then she prays with her husband and her stepson, and then steps out of the room, locks the door on the dog, so her dog doesn't get hurt, and brings in these killers, and they shoot them in the head and kill them. Right? So if I'm the judge, I'm not to say I am not persuaded by her defense that she was a little mentally incapacitated. is a gross understatement.
Well, the issue is not whether the judge is persuaded by it. It's on the books. Let's take it at face value that if you're below 70, you're mentally incapacitated, and I believe that Virginia doesn't execute you if you're below that. The Supreme Court says you can't.
Right.
So she barely qualifies as it. And the notion that we're going to dispute it seems ridiculous. We don't know, and people, you know, as my therapist has pointed out, it's a great point that people who are babbling to themselves don't walk in front of buses and they go to the bathroom in private. Like, you can be a totally crazy person and you know enough to shut the bathroom door, or if you're living on the street,
Still
to go
be
behind the
functional.
building. You're functional in some way. I just mean that there's a standard of, you know, you have to trick people before you murder them. She knows right from wrong. We're not disputing that. And I think the evidence that she did it seems overwhelming.
Right.
She admitted it, for crying out loud, on CNN. Maybe it was just in an effort to save her. There's no dispute. She did it. We got it. They got the right person. So the issue is, and I'm against the death penalty in all cases because it's a barbaric thing to do, and we get it wrong. And I don't care that she's a woman. Couldn't be less. Who couldn't be more? There couldn't be a more irrelevant point made in the history of the world.
Okay.
We also, once we've established that, and I guess there has to be a threshold, I would say the threshold should be a little higher. But the notion that you guys think that just because she was able to carry this out, therefore she is capable of being executed, the Supreme Court, which will pretty much the current status of the Supreme Court for the last 25 years, execute anybody at any point. They've even found, conservatives on the Supreme Court have got a number that they won't do. So, and we know that people below that number have planned an execution, have planned a murder. So planning the murder, it doesn't prove anything. The only issue here is whether we should be executing people with mental deficiencies. That's it. And I would say no.
We shouldn't be executing people at all. I don't agree with that at all. Regardless of what their mental state was, regardless of what their IQ is, we shouldn't be executing people at all. She should be in jail for life. I agree with that. But the thing that I think we're talking about is whether or not her defense was even credible, right? Because when we initially talked about this story, I was in disagreement with Cenk. I was like, no, Cenk, you know, it's proven by these experts that she has a mental disability. It's not right. This is a good defense. And then I read more about her past and the things that she's done in the past. And I read about what she did to her 16-year-old daughter. She arranged a meeting with the hitman and her 16-year-old daughter to have sex in a hotel room. No, that's...
a person whose IQ is 66 is capable of doing that. That's not an...
All right,
I agree, real quick, I agree that it's mind-numbingly horrible. Now, but look, the issue is whether we execute it.